Okay, hi. So we're going to talk about hormones today. And this is not just for women, this is also for men who have women in their life that train, that work out, that are athletes. This is also for those of you that train women. So if you are a trainer and you are involved with women and you're helping them reach their goals, their athletic abilities, as well as their performance, this is for you to listen to. There's not a whole lot of information out there sharing what our women's cycles do. We're just scratching the surface, and I'm going to share with you as much as I've been able to find through research. So first and foremost, one of the things that we as women and men that are training women or have women in their life, we don't understand a lot of the stuff that goes on around women's cycles. And that is just something, like I said, we're just scratching the surface with. So I'm going to share with you some tips and some things to think about. So when women start their cycle, that's day one. So from day 1 to day 14, we actually have a surge of hormones. And this is where we have the most energy. This is also where it's good for women who are fasting and want to fast. This is a great place to do that. This is also a great time for you to work out hard, do those strenuous, high intensity workouts, lift heavy, do that major run that you need to do, that long distance run. This is also a time when we feel like we don't need a whole lot of sleep. But obviously sleep is important. We do need to get that sleep. But this is where that surge of energy is because we have all of these hormones at our highest peak. Okay, so that's day 1 to day 14. This is also the time when women are okay with being in their bodies and being okay with their bodies and feel really sexy and feel confident. So this is where our levels of hormones are pretty high. Okay, so 15 to 28, this is where things are totally the opposite. So this is where you don't want to fast. If you don't, I'm a big believer in listening to your body and what it needs. So chances are you'll probably eat more this day versus when you were day 1 to 14. So for instance, a good example for me is I usually eat 3 meals at this point in my cycle. So I'll have, I'll still not have snacks. I still won't eat as frequently, but I will have 3 meals versus the 2 or 1 that I normally have on day 1 to 14. This is also the time where you want to do a little bit more gentler working out. And so, some people it's just movement, like walking or doing yoga or doing an easy aerobic step class or going for a jog instead of an all-out run and trying to break a PR. So this is kind of where you want to pay attention to how your body feels. Don't fight it, don't force it. This is also a great time for those of you that still eat some complex carbs. This is where you want to probably have some carbs. Do it before you work out, during your workout, if you're doing a long endurance and something that is very strenuous, maybe have a little bit of carbs during and then after. And the carbs that I'm talking about are not your pasta, not your rice. I'm talking about your complex carbs such as squashes and sweet potatoes and maybe a cup of fruit or medium fruit. This is the carbs that I'm talking about. So that's also the time here. You also might require a little bit more sleep. And I always tell people, honor that. Sleep a little more if you need to. Change your routine up a little bit. Be flexible. When we have a regimen and we're not flexible with that, that's when the guilt starts to set in, and that's where a lot more damage happens than good. So the guilt starts sitting in, and that one day of you're like, oh, I'm gonna work out tomorrow, then the next day, oh, I'll do it on Monday, and then it's just this vicious cycle. So what I recommend is if you need to sleep in a little bit more, great. Well, then guess what? Throughout the day, during your breaks, do more air squats, do more push-ups, do more sit-ups. Or add a half hour at the end of the day to get a walk in instead, and just learn how to be a little bit more flexible with your routine versus having it set in stone. is going to be ideal. This is also a time where we tend to kind of withdraw a little bit, and just because we're kind of winding down, this is where a lot of our hormones are at its lowest. So we want to make sure that we pay attention to that and how we feel. And so when we feel that way, we tend to want to eat more because we are emotional eaters. So really asking yourself, am I really hungry? Anytime you reach for something, just making sure that you are. If you aren't, or if you're not able to answer that question, you wait for your stomach to grumble. If your stomach doesn't grumble, then you know it's something that's emotionally going on. And this goes for men as well, not just women. We have those moments as human beings where we're bored and we just want to eat, or we're upset with something that's going on in our life and we just want to have those endorphin releases, and we do that through food. And so one of the things to ask yourself is, am I really hungry anytime you're reaching for food? Not just during the 15 to 28 days, but all the time. This is something that I've been doing for the past 8 years. And it's made me very aware of my emotional eating, which we all do. And if you think about it, all of our food revolves around emotions. So we have baby showers, we have, when we celebrate someone's life, when they've passed away, we have food, weddings, I mean, you name it, holidays, everything revolves around food. So it's no wonder why we reach for it when we have some kind of emotion going on. Good or bad, we do. So just paying attention to your emotions when you're eating is going to be key as well. So hopefully this is helpful for a lot of you. Like I said, we don't know enough about women's cycles, but one of the things that we don't pay attention to when we are working out and as athletes is that cycle that our body is going through. And we need to honor that. And if we don't, I find that that's where a lot of these things, we throw our hands up in the air and say, oh, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, when we really need to start understanding the hormone levels. And that kind of plays into how we play out, or how we perform, or how we work out that day. So paying attention to that is really key. And making sure that if you work with someone who's training you, give them the information, especially guys. Guys don't understand us. We don't understand us. So knowing with your family, your husband, your spouse, your boyfriend, knowing this about your cycle will actually help your relationship as well. Because a lot of the times, a lot of women, when they don't feel well and don't feel comfortable in their skin, they tend to say no to their partners a lot. And this is the reason. So understanding that as well, and so that they know that you're not rejecting them, it's just how you're feeling with your hormones. So knowing that, having that knowledge is key as well. All right, guys, so hopefully that makes sense. If any of you have questions, please comment underneath the video. And if you need help with this further, I would be more than welcome to work with you or have a one-on-one session to give you a little bit more information and to help you create a workout around that for you.